Minnesota Vikings training camp is officially over, and their last preseason game is around the corner, where pretty much every single starter is not going to play. Why risk it? This is a game for those bubble players to make one more final statement, and for those guys that are most likely not going to make the roster to make a final statement as well, so that other teams that might be in need of a position could sign them to a contract, and maybe they'll make that team before the regular season starts. But today I want to talk about Sam Darnold. And there's been a trend with Sam Darnold all throughout the training camp. You know, some days he looks spectacular. Some days he looks like QB1, and it's obvious. And he's clearly better than J.J. McCarthy, who's having a rookie moment. Well, now that J.J. McCarthy is injured, there is a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold to deliver not only for the Minnesota Vikings, but for himself, because this is the make it or break it year for Sam Darnold. You know, even before J.J. McCarthy, it was a make it or break it year for Sam Darnold. But there was always an insurance plan behind him if you are the Minnesota Vikings organization and if you're Sam Darnold as well. You know, there's always a guy behind you if you are really struggling. But now there really isn't. If he's struggling in a game, are you really going to throw out Jaron Hall or Nick Mullins? No, your best chance is Sam Darnold. Even if he has 3 interceptions, your best chance is that Sam Darnold finds a rhythm, gets hot, gets JJ and Addison and Hawkinson and Aaron Jones involved. It is all on Sam Darnold, so he needs to be healthy. But these training camp reports are so inconsistent, because in his last training camp practice, according to Judd Zolgad of Score North, it says, in today's practice, Judd noted that it was a situational scrimmage, and the defense looked very good. That's a good sign. While the first team offense was a little shakier, especially Sam Darnold, who he believes is still processing the system. The final sentence doesn't intimidate me. Sam Darnold still processing the system, because Kirk Cousins took a long time in both seasons with Kevin O'Connell to fully process the system. I remember his first season with Kevin O'Connell. It was around mid-season to the second half of the season where it seemed like Kirk Cousins finally came out of his shell a little bit and started releasing the ball on time, anticipating throws. He sort of became a gunslinger. He wasn't so hesitant. He just was throwing the ball with confidence and was trusting the routes, trusting the timing, trusting the coaches and receivers. But at the beginning of the season, he was a very different quarterback. So that doesn't really intimidate me. And I remember the second season, I'm like, well, if at the end of the first season Kirk Cousins was like this, I would expect him to be like this at the beginning of the second season. And he went back to being the shy, not as a gunslinger Kirk Cousins. And he eventually developed into that in his second season, but a little sooner. When the Minnesota Vikings got hot, Kirk Cousins was that guy again, and then he got hurt. So that doesn't surprise me or shock me that he's still processing the system. But the inconsistencies of Sam Darnold are what concerns me in the training camp, because Sam Darnold is a very talented quarterback, but he always has these throws throughout his career where you look at him and it's like, how can you be so talented and yet so stupid? Like, what was going on in your mind when you attempted this throw? What did you see from the defense when you made this throw? Because there's a linebacker right there. did you process and read a defense and make this kind of throw? And Sam Darnold is going to be consistent this season. He's not a top 5, top 10 quarterback where those guys are consistent. But you hope that he's a little bit more consistent than he was with the Panthers, Jets, and 49ers. Not that he really had to run with the 49ers because of the system and the weapons that are around him. But as the days continue, the weapons around Sam Darnold are dropping off like Jenga pieces. Jordan Addison, we don't know if he's going to even be available week 1 based on the reports of his ankle sprain and how long it's taken him to come back. Aaron Jones, healthy now, but will he be in week 2? Right now, you got Justin Jefferson healthy. You got Jalen Naylor healthy. You got Brandon Powell healthy. Sam Darnold needs every single offensive weapon the Minnesota Vikings can have to have his most successful season. And I've been on record comparing Sam Darnold to Ryan Fitzpatrick because Ryan Fitzpatrick was a gunslinger, just go for it kind of guy. And he found a rhythm and a hot streak with the Buffalo Bills that gave him a massive contract extension. And then he, fell off the face of the earth again. And that was kind of his career. He would get hot, and then they would have this unbelievable run. I think he even had a run with the Miami Dolphins at one point. And then he would just get hot and just look like one of the greatest quarterbacks. And it was Fitzmagic. And, he had the nickname, he had the beard, he had the look, and he was playing spectacular. And it was fun, and it was exciting. And then for 5 weeks, he would just disappear off the face of the planet and look like one of the bottom 3 quarterbacks in the league. And that's my fear and expectation for Sam Darnold this season because of the quarterback that he's been throughout his career and because of the talent that he clearly has. Like the first throw in the preseason game against the Las Vegas Raiders, the ball that he threw to Jalen Naylor, there's a linebacker in the middle of the field, and it demanded perfect touch to sail the ball over the linebacker into Jalen Naylor's hands. And everybody looked at that throw and was like, wow, that is an incredible pass. That is why you're a top pick in the NFL draft, because you have that touch, that talent, that kind of capability to make that pass. And then we didn't really see any bad throws in his preseason debut, but they're coming. We saw some in training camp. We saw reports of them in training camp. So I think the battle for Sam Darnold this season is going to be the consistency. Can he keep the consistency of being an efficient and effective quarterback? Because that's how he's going to be successful this season. He doesn't need to throw for 400 yards every single game. He needs to be efficient and effective. Can he go 18 for 24 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions? That's what's going to make Sam Darnold a successful quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, and that's what's going to make the Minnesota Vikings offense successful. Remember when Christian Ponder had his best year in the NFL? It wasn't because he was an unbelievable quarterback. He was up and he was down. There's the Cosmo Kramer meme of him walking around with the robe, and he was super exciting and had the smile. And then there's the Cosmo Kramer meme of him going like this, like, what are you doing? And then it's like Christian Ponder through the first 4 weeks of the season, like Christian Ponder through the next 4 weeks of the season. Christian Ponder through the next 4 weeks of the season. Christian Ponder through the last 4 weeks of the season. It's just, that's the quarterback that he was. And then he couldn't even play the playoff game versus the Green Bay Packers. But that's what Sam Darnold needs to avoid. He needs to be consistent, efficient, and effective. And he has the talent to do so. But does he have the decision-making to do so? Does he have the decision-making to understand, I just need to check it down here and live to die another down, live to play another down? So It'll be an interesting thing to watch throughout the regular season how Sam Darnold progresses as Minnesota Vikings QB1. Because as it stands right now and as it stands probably in a few weeks, there really isn't going to be an option for Sam Darnold to be QB2. He's the guy. And the Minnesota Vikings got to live and die with his arm.